podcast, Passion, Pain, and Progress. I have a special guest today.
Tranks from CTC Trainer.
So we're here. Once again we have mutual friends. In my last podcast I did with Cal, he spoke so highly of you, and he said you were very instrumental to the beginning of his weight loss journey. So it is dope to finally be here with you. We did a bike ride.
No, for sure. Recently
as
Father's
well.
Day ride.
Yeah, we did a bike ride and got a chance to chop it up with you there. So I just want to get into your story. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, again, my name is Sam from Philadelphia, PA. Born and raised. I've been here in Pittsburgh since 2017 primarily. The most recent update with me is I had a daughter. Her name is Justice. Thank you. She's 5 months now. But I'm a simple person. You know what I mean? I like to train. I like to chill. I like to, just stay in a creative space. I would say I'm a creative. We talked about that a little bit. Yeah, I'm a real simple person now.
Okay. Yeah. So one thing that I really want to get into is so. When we talk about fitness goals, right? Mm-hmm. So we got 5 months left in this year.
Right.
One thing that I did when I started my fitness journey is I remember I was on YouTube and I was typing in like best ways to lose weight, how to make it sustainable. And one thing that I ran across this one guy, he was a personal trainer, and he said one thing you have to do in the beginning of the years, or everybody's New Year's resolution, is be realistic with yourself. So he said, if your plan is to look like The Rock, you have to be realistic with yourself. You have to understand that, one, The Rock has certain genetics that you might not have.
Right.
Two,
that's step one.
Right. And then two, how long are you willing to work to get those type of results? So he was like, if The Rock worked 20 years to get those type of results, are you willing to work those 20 years? So I always wanted to have a conversation with someone about that, and it's like, how do we have those conversations about being realistic with ourselves?
That's got to be step number one. So through the years, I would say a lot of clients, especially women, they'll come specifically with this same exact thing. I got a trip in 3 months. What can you do for me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So just starting your fitness journey with that, from that perspective, you're already handicapping yourself. Because there's already pressure put on you. Right. You know what I mean? So now we got the pressure before we even set an actual goal. It's a timeline. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody's timeline is different. It took The Rock 20 years to become The Rock.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no one sees the behind the scenes work. But so that's definitely important to have the right perspective to start when it comes. But I would say, now you were asking me how to
how do you
go about that?
Yeah, exactly.
So you talk about being realistic with yourself. I think consistency. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Whatever you do, like I was talking to a girl the other day via email, a prospective client. And I was trying to tell her, she was saying, well, all I can do is walk right now. I was like, that's fine. If walking right now is all you can, you have time for, that's perfect. Just be consistent with that. You know what I mean? Just add it to your daily routine. So whatever you do, however you start, just make sure you're consistent with it.
Yeah. Consistency is key. And, one thing that I've realized is that even walking you'll burn a lot of calories while you're walking.
No, for sure.
It's funny because in the endurance space, they always say you gotta run slow to run fast, and it's such a mind twist that it's hard to really wrap your mind around that. But you're really building your aerobic base.
Let me take it from you right there. So through Kyle's journey, he would often hit me like he would need some help. Like, yo, can you run this 5K with me? Mm-hmm. Or can you film me doing this? I'm like, all right, I'm always like, all right, I'm frontline for Kyle for whatever. Right. You know what I mean? So one time he was like, yo, run this half marathon with me. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So it's my goal. I want to run a marathon one day, but I can't jog. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And everything in me is run, sprint. Mm-hmm. So I learned running with Kyle. It was like he had such a consistent run, consistent pace. I mean, he's in phenomenal shape, but I learned a lesson, like, you know, less is more in the end.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You know, it's interesting because I think that everybody has that perspective of like just jogging, because one, jogging, it forces you to go within. So not only are you trying to focus on the task of just running, you're like thinking in your head, like, I don't want to do this. Like, I do not want to spend 40 minutes just to get 3 miles when you can run 3 miles the fastest you can and you're done in 15 minutes. So it's like you always have that perspective of going fast. Like,
I've never thought about it.
Like if I go fast, it gets done quick. I still get the results. I'm going to sweat. If you're running fast for 15 minutes, you're going to sweat. So the perspective of the workout is done, but you don't realize it's like what you're doing is you're not only are you running at a specific pace, but you're also going deep. You're also giving yourself a chance to have those conversations that you've been avoiding for a long time with yourself. And it's actually kind of like a therapeutic thing.
You know, that's true. Because I find myself running into those moments when I go on long bike rides.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you're really, truly by yourself, you don't get many moments like that.
No.
Even in passing, when you may be talking to somebody, you may be thinking about something on your phone, but like true moments to yourself, you really have conversations that spark out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
So, but when I think about distance training, I think of it from two different perspectives. Say, like you said, 40-minute run. I could run for 40 minutes.
Right.
I could run for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking like, all right, like you said, if I see, all right, I gotta run 3 miles. Like, all right, I gotta run this 3 miles as quick as possible.
Yep.
So I'm kind of regurgitating what you're saying, but that's interesting. You know how to attack that, because I struggle. I cannot jog.
Yeah. You play sports in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I play football. Actually.
Football, okay, perfect. So this is a great, and I figured that, but I wanted to ask you that question.
Right.
So one of the things that has been the hardest for me, because I also played football in high school too, the hardest thing for me, especially, and I'll give it to us as men, the hardest thing for me was to switch over to endurance sports and do it in a sense of like now I'm lifting for the reps of endurance versus lifting for how much I can actually lift. Right. There's this mental game that goes on when you're in a gym and you only got 25s on there, and the dude next to you's got 45 plates.
He got 60.
Right. And you're sitting there like, man, am I not doing a good workout? So it's like I think playing football and playing these macho sports has corrupted us, because now we're just like, okay, the goal was to lift everything in this gym.
All the weights
that I can.
Actually belong to me. Like,
right.
I lift all these motherfuckers.
So how do you look at that, or how would you look at that question? And have you ever crossed that?
I haven't crossed that yet.
Okay, really? Okay.
Well, I've been. So we always say, like, because some of the guys in my gym got some pretty good results, aesthetic results, right? And we always say we always want to look training camp ready. Like, so I always want to stay in that space where at any given moment you're like, wait, did you play for somebody? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's that look, like that, you know, the athletic look. But it requires a different level of training, a different type of training, I would say. You know what I mean? So as I contemplate and think about that, I think about like my training's gonna have to change. You know what I mean? I even not battle with that, but there's a sliding scale within my own personal life. Right. It's like, all right, I want to get a little bigger, but I know instantly, like right now, as I go up 5 or down 5, I know that I'm gonna be a little more stiff on my sprints. I'm starting to sprint again. So now that I'm running, I don't need my shoulders to be all super tight. I want to be nice and flexible and loose. So that's a daily battle, actually.
Yeah.
It's a daily battle. Even with Kyle, like, he would try to come back and train with me, but the training style is just different. Like, what you need for your endurance sport is completely different than I haven't really, you know. Right.
Then if you're staying stagnant, if you're staying still, that doesn't give you a chance to grow. But also for you know, I look at people like you and like people like, you know, coaches and, you know, personal trainers as change agents, because what y'all really are doing is helping people get from one point to the other. So actually going through it yourself gives you learning on the job gives you the best experience to be a teacher for someone else because
for sure.
you're actually able to teach people because now you're going through it. Now it's something that you're going through. So like you said with Kyle, it's like the training was so different, but now you had that point of reference.
Right. No, for sure. And that's the starting point. You know what I mean? So now I know we're going to have to get more flexible.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're going to have to, like you say, do more endurance reps, more, core, more balance, more stuff like that, more like the small details. You know what I mean? It's not about owning the weights in the gym.
Right.
You know what I mean? You might not touch any weights.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's a humbling thing coming from, like you said, coming from being football players and stuff like that, or just what would you categorize football? Like the machismo sports?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, because you have a different level.
Testosterone.
Like you're always in a position to be hit or give a hit.
Mm-hmm. Like, and that's in every stage of life.
You're right.
You know what I mean? Like we're prepared.
Right.
And we're prepared to hit back. You know what I mean?
Like, it's funny because I as we're having conversations and I have conversations with other people, it's like you're learning on the go as well because just saying that statement is like I never thought about that and how football has prepared us for life. Mm-hmm. And now I'm on another journey, and that's taken me to a whole nother place. But you're realizing it's like playing football in my early stages has prepared me for those hits and giving hits because life is coming. Like I always tell people all the time, like life don't care, bro. It's coming. It's going to come. So if you're not prepared to give those licks back, then that's when you lose. That's when you begin to get comfortable with being stagnant. So I agree with that 100%. How long have you been in business, and what made you start?
I've been in business since 2013. What made me start is, that's a good question. No one's ever asked me what made me start training. But how I started training, I was working as a janitor in LA Fitness in Greensboro, PA. And just working out there, I would work out in between my shift. And my first client, his dad, just saw me working out and was like, all right, these workouts are like different. Like, clearly you're somebody, we're going somewhere. So I was a free agent looking to get signed to continue my professional football career. And that's how I got my first client in 2013. Okay. So I ended up getting re-signed, tore my right ACL, and that kind of ended my career. So, but from there, how I got into training was through rehab. You know what I mean? Learning how to properly warm up, how to properly take care of my body. Because I tore my left ACL my rookie season. I got stabbed in my hip. I got right ACL surgery. You know what I'm saying? Popped the bursa sacs in my knees. So many different surgeries. So many different. I was always in the training room during my pro career. So that's kind of how I just learned more about the body. So it was a natural transition once I stopped playing, because I was still, running routes with wide receivers and stuff like that. I was still kind of like a player coach in the Seton Hill University community. And then from there, I just kind of, had an idea and pushed it. So the CTC brand started. I had a webisode series called Courage to Continue. Okay. And I did 3 seasons of that. So that's kind of where it came from, having the courage to continue, and then just courage to continue training, CTC training, which is a natural thing.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow, I like that. I think that I think that your story is so impactful because I think that we know because we've been in those circles with football players. So and even if you just are weekend warrior and just watch ESPN, know
that counts for something.
Right. That, and not saying I was pro level or anything like that. I was just me being cognitive and paying attention. That everybody doesn't make it to the being the pro, and they're this and that. But people don't realize it's not always about the talent. It's about injuries. Like one injury can take you out. Like,
and you hear that because they have movies on it. You know what I'm saying? You hear about it, but to go through it is definitely it's a crazy experience.
So what have
I appreciate it though.
No, like what have you learned? Because I want to go a little more into that and your mindset with that, because what have you learned from that experience? What have you learned from because I know it had to be a constant up and down, because every time you had a surgery, it had to be like, this is the one, I'm back. Like, what have you learned from that? Because it's ups and it's downs. Yeah. You know what I mean? But so one of the things that I've been thinking about recently is within my life, I try not to look left. I try not to look right. I try not to look up, down. I just look within. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always trust myself. You know what I mean? I believe in my ability to make it happen. I got a tattoo on my left bicep. It's from my brother. It's a quote. In my football games, he would always be in the stands, like screaming, "Make it happen, make it happen." You know what I'm saying? Like, and at the end of the day, that's all you gotta do. If you simplify your life to that, just making it happen. This is the task that's in front of me. I'm just gonna take small steps towards it. Man. That's kind of how my whole life has been, for real. Yeah. Man, and that's super inspiring for me. But it also puts things in perspective, because it's like the start and stop of your dream. Right? You're like, okay, start it, stop. Okay, this one is good. Now I know I'm back. I know I'm back.
Like, this is the one.
And then it keeps stopping. So I think that's so interesting. And one thing I did notice is you had your tattoo right here.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So
what finish tat?
Yeah, like what?
I got a finish shirt on. I got the
veggies. Yep. Shout out the veggies in that. That was one of the first things that I noticed about you when
the tattoo?
Because one thing about like marathoning and stuff like that, like you get your shirt finisher and you get this and that, so it's like it's everywhere. So what about that mindset? Because that's a mindset, finishing mindset, and like you said, stopping and starting and receiving surgeries, and I'm pretty sure most people, surgeries ain't like you're just getting a surgery on Tuesday and then you're back, because there's a long line of recovery that's
It's
involved.
Funny you're saying though. I think about everything that you're saying every single day. Every single day. I'm listening.
So what about that mindset, or that what about that this stage that you went through with the recovering and with the surgeries that prompted you to keep that finish mindset?
Well, let's rewind just a little bit. For me, I've never wanted to do anything other than play football. So when it comes to just my life, football was always at the forefront ever since I was like 10. I was when I started playing football. Wow. I knew I was going to make it. It wasn't a matter of if, it was just when. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I knew I was always good at football. That was like my thing, And that's nothing out of the ordinary. But I truly believed in my ability. You know what I mean? So through my career, that it was always easy for me to just know, like, all right, this is just like you said. I got hurt. Here's the surgery. Here's the timeline for return. That's kind of how my life has been set up. It was like, all right, here's the season. I got hurt. I got a rehab. So it was just how it was. You know what I mean? Life of an athlete, I would say. So from there, once I really started putting that into practice in my own life, like outside of football, once football was done, it's just really just a responsibility. You know what I mean? Like, not to go too far into that, but
no, you're good.
When I think of what CTC stands for me, I ask myself that all the time. Because people would ask me, and I would think like, no one ever asked me that before. Right. It's really, I never thought about it because it's always in me. You know what I mean? It's not something that I have to like really put into words. I'm gonna show you every single day. When I don't feel like doing something, it's a personal battle. You have a choice. You know what I mean? It's either you're gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. Like I look at life as 50%. It's either you're gonna do it or you're not.
You're not. Yeah. But when you take that and put it in the perspective of, like you said, you're either going to do it or you're not, it really puts things in the simplest form it can be, because it's like literally like that. Like today, woke up at 5 and I'm like, all right, I know I got an interview, and then it was or even going back to Marcus Aurelius, like we was talking before. Even people with power struggle with the fact that they're like, I have to get up in the morning and do things. But there was a flip side of what he was saying is, why wouldn't you want to do what your purpose is? This is your humanly purpose on this earth. So why would it be such a struggle to do that? Because it's unnatural to just sit there. That's
kind of how we started our conversations off camera this morning. That's tough, because, and that's when you see when people are complaining about certain things in their life, it's because you don't want to be doing that. You would never complain about doing something that you want to do. Like, for instance, you spoke about how the audio was messed up. It's like, all right, it's messed up, but I ain't really tripping. Just gotta figure it out.
No, figure it out.
Let's gotta figure it out. So that's kind of one of our sayings inside of our papers we have. We'll figure it out. Wow. So when I speak about, like, in my role of paper brain and stuff like that, I always say, like, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? That's really what it's all about. We'll figure it out. You know.
I think that's an important mindset to have, because I think people panic. People panic, and if you don't have all the answers, there's no answers.
So when you talk about panic, a Troy Ave line comes to my mind. He says, "I ain't never felt pressure in my life," and I kind of try to hold on to that. Like, there's been moments where, and I'm not alone here, where the rent's due and you're looking around like, wait, it's on me. There's no help coming.
On me.
I may not have it. I may gotta stretch here and there, but, like, you gotta figure it out.
Right.
And like you say, there's no pressure. This is like, it's your life. You know, you gotta make it happen.
You know, one of the things that I would say helped me so much in this journey of getting better, just constantly getting better. I remember I was stressed out, and this is when I was working a 9 to 5, and I was so stressed out. I just went through a breakup. I was just in a point where I was in a dead-end job. I was just at the point where I was just stuck, and I was stressed out. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, there has to be, like, literature on your brain. And so I literally, like, I started researching what is stress? How do you stress? What is X, Y, and Z? And there was literally a line that I read, and it was like, when you shut your brain off to problems, when you say you can't, you literally stop your brain from coming up with solutions to fix that problem.
That's heavy.
And I remember at that point I stopped doing it. I stopped shutting off, because it's like, once you realize there's a problem, you're like, oh man, I'm in this situation. But if you cut off your brain from being like, okay, if I go down this alley, where does that lead me? If I go down here, where does that lead me? If you're just stuck with the problem and you can only see the problem, it's like the quote is like, you can't see the forest through the trees. And it's like, when you only see with the problem in front of you, you can't imagine that there's a vast forest in the back of it.
Right.
You know, there's your problem. Let's be real. Your problem might not even be a problem.
Right.
You just perceive it that way, but
you're putting that anxiety onto yourself.
Exactly. And I say that
pressure, expectation.
I say this in every podcast that I do, but this is just my personal belief. In my life, I've never been in a situation that when I came out on the other side, I didn't say, I didn't even grow from that. You grow from any hard situation that I've ever been in, I've grown from it. I look back and be like, damn, I'm better. Like, I'm better from that experience. And
for sure, I can attest to that.
I think that people shut themselves off from growth.
I think that. I mean, you said it. I think you said it perfectly. I think that once you stop exercising, once you stop trying to figure it out, once you stop mapping out a plan, it's funny. It's hard to even talk about that because I don't even operate under that theology or theory. Wow. You know what I mean? It's hard to even think like that. Like, there is no, all right, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no, like, Like, so the first thing that you thought of when you say, when you mentioned can't, I just remembered myself saying I can't run. Probably 5 minutes ago, and I thought about that. So as you were talking, I was thinking like, I haven't run yet. I even wanted to correct myself earlier. I'm just like, I haven't gotten to the place where I enjoyed running, or I haven't found that thing that can get me past it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, the word can't. We learn that as kids. You know what I mean? Like that's put in. You can have that split decision. Like, don't say you can't. You know what I mean? Even with that, I've been thinking about just our upbringing. You know, my upbringing, and a lot of the different things that you hear through the years. That now it's time to apply it. It's like that's what they were saying. That's what my parents were saying. Like,
let's talk about the beginning days. Let's talk about first clients. Let's
Okay.
talk about growing to what you are now, because like you said, you're 10 years in. What was the first 2 years like? What did it?
The first 2 years was training athletes, football players. I probably had 4 or 5 clients at max. It was doing everything that I had done up until that point. There was no, there was definitely structure, but it was just football workouts.
Okay.
So it was just like going through like a normal practice for myself. I was training players who played my position. So all I had to do was pretty much take them through a normal workout that I would do. So that was pretty seamless. That was pretty easy there. My athletes performed well, but the workouts, it wasn't really challenging because it was just normal. You know what I mean? So once I started tapping into personal training, it was a little bit different. You know what I mean? So the workouts, you had to actually learn. You had to get your certification. You had to really understand and know your clients inside and out, because everyone's starting from a certain point. You know what I mean? Athletically, you're grouped together. If you play wide receiver, it's like, all right, I know you have this skill set. You're going to be able to do this. We can still build and work on that, but I don't know. You're not coming here never playing football before.
Right.
Most personal training clients have never picked up a weight before. That's the reason why they hired you.
Right.
You know, some people have never, they don't know what it is to put together a structured diet or anything like that. You know, so that was a learning curve. Training a 60-year-old woman who, I've had clients early on, you just give them too much to the point where they're so sore, they're like, yo, I don't ever want to feel like this again. Why would I want to feel like this? Right. So that was the biggest learning curve, going from training athletes to, I say pedestrians.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's 100%. What would you say was the biggest transition from, like you said, training athletes to training pedestrians that you had to witness in yourself? Because obviously you had to change your mindset, because like we talked about before, football is like, and then you got, like you said, you got this old lady that comes in, you can't be like,
yeah, like understanding the body and understanding my clients, I would say, and truly pulling the most out of them, not putting too much on them, but pulling the most out of them. Like, I kind of really had to evaluate my training style through the years. And I'm not the in-your-face, yell-at-you trainer. I'm not the military-style trainer. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be blowing your phone up if you're late. Like, no, this is on you. I want you to operate at your highest self.
right.
You know what I mean? Even as far as, like, adding weight. Something as simple as that. Some people, you might not be ready to add that weight. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
We're going to get that. So we're just going to get, with whatever weight we choose, we're going to get the most out of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we're going to pull your best self out of you. So that's kind of how my training style is now. I'm not pushing you anymore. I'm pulling you.
Right.
I'm pulling the best out of you. So now we're working on the same wavelength. You know what I mean? So now we have the same understanding. You know exactly why we're doing a squat into a squat jump.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know exactly why we're gonna time ourselves, and we're not gonna go under this time, or just all types of different ways to slice it. But just really listening to my clients, honestly.
And I think that doing it that way gives the client a feel that we're in this together.
Yeah, and because we are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I tell all my clients, you don't need a trainer. Tell everybody listening to this, you don't need a trainer. You know, I think that I provide a good enough atmosphere that you're going to want to come back here.
Right.
We're going to be learning every day. You know, we're going to be challenging ourselves every day. You know, I battle with this every single day because I don't like working out. I truly don't. Because what we do here, we don't work out here. This ain't LA Fitness.
Right.
We're
right,
training
right.
here.
Training,
Like, this is actually war every single day. And it resets every single day. And I had to really understand that it's not for everybody. You know what I mean? I wanted to. So from there, you also need the right type of people in your environment. You know, I had to understand. My first session starts at 5 o'clock every morning. I'm the very first person that a lot of people see every single morning. That's an important role. You know what I mean? So I'm starting to embrace that and understand that, and I look forward to that. You know, and that just transitions and trickles down to my clients.
Right. But the way you described it is like, if I was coming to your gym and I missed a session, I would feel like I disappointed you.
Okay.
And it, just as much as you would say, like, if you didn't show up to my gym session, I'd be like, damn, like, what happened? Like, he didn't show up. So it's like, you're creating this level of accountability, but it also is like, I'm here with you. I'm in this together. So if you don't reach your goal, I don't reach my goal.
So, and it took me a while to even understand that, you know what I mean? Because that's a battle that I'm sure trainers go through, is having clients that don't necessarily reach their goals. You know what I mean? Sometimes people aren't going to reach their goals, you know what I mean? And that's a thing you got to really, now you got to dissect that. Why? It's not just on the client, it's you know, sometimes it's on the trainer as well. It's on the communication. But like you said, so I like to meet at the same point. Like you said, we're in this together. So you know exactly what we need to do, and I'm going to trust you in that, and you're going to trust me to do my job. You know what I mean? You know, some people don't see it that way, and you know, it don't always. It's not always teeth and palms at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's an intimate relationship between a trainer and client, because they're really trusting you to change their life. You mentioned that earlier, like change.
Change not only as a change agent for others, but for themselves, because like I said, you're continuously growing as well. So one of the things that also another theme of this podcast, the podcast name, of course, is Passion, Pain, and Progress. And just like, that's why when I seen your tattoo, and I was like, there has to be a meaning to that tattoo, because I'm the type of person that I'll only put something on my body that means something to me. So my first tattoo was the Pittsburgh P, and it's this Passion, Pain, and Progress. I got this in high school. This podcast is new, so it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing how things, you know, just work like that. So going to that idea, we know what your passion is. We know the pain that you went through, you know, to get to here, you know, and we've seen your progress, because there's no way you haven't progressed in the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Even if there's been setbacks, there's been progression, because you're not in the same place that you was before. My question to you now is, what is your why?
Just in life?
Yeah, like what? Because
with training.
I would say just overall, because you said that, just referencing back, you said that you don't have that idea of not going, right? So when it came to open up the gym, no brainer. When it comes to getting up at 5 o'clock, no brainer, because I know my people know that I'm here. I'm the first person that you're going to see. But what's behind that? What drives you to do that? Because there has to be a reason behind wanting to make sure that you always show up, or that you finish.
I would say provide for my family. You know what I'm saying? Providing and making sure that they're comfortable. As I'm sitting here thinking, like, why? To make sure that they're cool. You know what I mean? And also on a personal level to create the lifestyle that I want. You know what I mean? I love what I do. Like I love, being able to have control over my own life. You know what I mean? And so when we talked about this briefly off camera, but like what I was thinking about was sometimes there's, as an entrepreneur in whatever field you're in, finances aren't always guaranteed. They're not guaranteed.
No.
And we can kind of go further into that, but like as far as the career choice that you choose, as entrepreneurs, you really got to believe in yourself.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You really got to bet on yourself. So you can believe in yourself. You can say it, but you got to really walk the walk. At some point, and then that walk, it could be a long walk. It could be a long journey. Lonely journey. You know what I mean? But it's always fulfilling. So that's kind of like what keeps me going is I'm not afraid to walk alone. I'm not afraid to walk far. I'm not afraid to take the steps. You know what I mean? Like for instance, a lot of our sayings like daily grind. It's a daily grind. I'm prepared for it. So I don't have to complain about it. I know that it's a daily journey. There's going to be setbacks. So I'm not tripping. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to, keep pushing through. But yeah, so my family and just being able to control my life is what keeps me going.
I love that. Being entrepreneurs, I think that, like I said, we had, like you said, we had this conversation kind of off camera, and not knowing when that next dollar's coming, not knowing where that next, am I going to,
the next big thing,
right?
It is.
I think it's such a mind twist to be like, I'm doing this for my family, but then like when business isn't, like any
being taken care of,
right? When there's those laws and I guarantee because you have an indoor space during the winter time, it's popping because everybody wants to get their summer body ready. Everybody wants to do this, but during the summertime, you're like,
see,
am I in business?
No. So people ask me that. They say like, are there downtimes in training? And I never truly look at it like that. I always, yes, there are, but I wouldn't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mindset, bro.
I wouldn't know.
I love
like,
your mindset. I love it.
I honestly, it's just like, I look at my schedule. I'm very like time oriented. That's why like I apologize for being late earlier. Like, because I know exactly where I'm going to be at every hour. Mm-hmm. Even if I'm chilling, I know like, all right, I could chill from 2 to 5. You know what I'm saying? Right. So like, I just kind of approach life like that.
Man, like I love that. I love that mindset, and I love that there's not a lot of there's not a lot of gaps in that personality because it's airtight and you go. You know what I'm saying? And I think that daily grind mentality is important because people like you wake up and understand that it's 0-0 every day. Mm-hmm. And right. When I go to sleep, I'm gonna wipe the scoreboard, and when I wake up, it's a new we playing a new game.
That's exciting though. That's what keeps you going. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like the life of a defensive back. They say the life of a DB. You gotta have a short memory. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And football teaches us that. Like there's ups and downs. You might be down 30 points. Like, imagine like just some people like in the mindsets that they move around with being down 30 points. And like some people we've seen teammates going to the tank like, man, people talking about drinking after the game and doing all types of stuff. But like there are some people that no matter what, they're dialed in. As soon as that game's over, it's like, all right, we go over the film, go over the study, learn from our mistakes, and get after it the next week.
See, it's funny because I've drawn a lot of stuff from football, and like I said, I've only played up to the high school level.
But look, I wouldn't even preface it with that because you play high level football.
Right.
You know what I mean? So let me remember what you're about to say there, but like coming from Philly, we look up to y'all playing football, like in a major way. Philly has come a long way now, like cats be going all over the place playing, but y'all, you know, this is high level football. You know, Little League football, like Little League football, we said at the same time. I've seen some of the best athletes ever in Little League football. You know what I mean? Who can still talk that shit, like they know the game.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
So never look, you know, preface it with that, like, I just played. No, you did your thing.
But what I was saying, like for I found myself, I always reference back to things when I'm talking. So I was talking to my wife and I was trying to explain to her something about business or something we was talking about last night, and I found myself breaking down the gap responsibility of a guard. Right? And I was just like, she has no clue what I'm talking about. So I'm like, this gap and this gap and no, this gap, that's for the tackle. And when the middle linebacker does this, your job is to drop that. And I'm like,
she would never.
Right. I was just like,
no clue.
right. But to the average person who just watches ESPN, they're only seeing like, they're like, oh, linemen are dumb. And this and that, and you're like, there's a game on top of a game that's going on.
Or even like when the running back runs into the lineman, people are like, why would he just run right into him? Like,
what song or what lyric would best describe the chapter of life that you're in right now?
See, now when you throw lyric in there, now the database goes a little further.
So let's just start off with song.
So song, I would say, "Leave It Up to Me" by Larry June and Jay Worthy. You familiar with that song?
Sure.
So "Leave It Up to Me," that's kind of how I look at like this gym here. You know, there was some setbacks, but like, you know, leave it up to me.
Yeah,
I figure it out.
Figure
You know
it
what I mean?
out,
Leave it up to me. So like that song, and "Cool in the Gang" by Currency. That's off of his latest album, Continuance with Alchemist. "Cool in the Gang," one of the lyrics in the chorus, he says, "It takes heart, it takes smarts, it takes a boss to learn from taking a loss." And he kind of sings that at the end, like over and over. And that's kind of how I look at it. It takes heart to, you know, be an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? Like, help is not on the way.
No.
You know, it takes smarts. You got to move smarter at some point. You know what I mean? You got the hard part out the way. You know, the hard part. Now you got to work smarter, and then it takes a boss. Like, you got to really, you know, operate at a higher level. You know what I mean? You got to stay locked in. You got to stay dialed in. You know, to learn from taking losses. 'Cause that's all it is that give and take. That daily, like, all right, you know, we're setting a new goal. All right, we didn't hit this, or we hit this. All right, we can celebrate that briefly, but we're setting another goal. It's like, you know, it's all about wins and losses, I would say.
Man, like, I love that. And Currency definitely like one of my favorite. But Larry June, I just started listening to him. I was listening to more. I listened to Dom Kennedy before, and then I heard him on one of his joints, and then I dove into him, and I was just like, man, like one of my favorite songs is "Wait on Me."
Okay. Would you wait on me?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. So, like I said, you know, before, one of my biggest things is books. So, is there a book that you've read or anything that is impactful that you think could help entrepreneurs or even like some not even a book, or it could be an audio book or a passage that you've read, a quote?
Entrepreneurs. Books, entrepreneurs. I'm reading a book now called Traction. I forget the author. But it's about, the premise of the book is there was a $100 cheesesteak in Philly. I think it was in the 90s or early 2000s. It's a $100 cheesesteak, and it was like alarming. This is one of Nipsey Hussle's favorite books. That's kind of where I got the idea from.
Okay.
And the whole premise of the book is how to sell different things.
Okay.
How to make things stick. So that's kind of where the world's going. You know what I mean? Whether we like it or not, you have to have a digital presence. You have to be able to sell the XYZ.
Right.
Sell yourself, sell your brand, sell your vision. So it's a book on how to do that. You know what I mean? How to get people talking about your stuff.
Okay.
how to stay true to yourself, how to, kind of set yourself apart. That book, and then plenty of quotes, but I would just say for entrepreneurs, just believe in yourself. I seen a video of Jay-Z. It's like a 12-year-old podcaster. She asked Jay-Z a question, the same question, like, what would you tell people to be successful? He said, just believe in yourself. He's probably said it 20 times.
Right.
And I was thinking, like, yo, that's the most profound thing.
Yeah.
As long as you keep that belief in yourself, everything else will fall fall in line.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. I mean that kind of summed it up for entrepreneurs. And that's, I mean, anybody can take that. Anybody who's out there, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're just trying to train. One last thing I want you to give your socials out, but anything that you want to say, man, like any, speak from your heart, what you want to say to the people, what you want to say about your business. Please come and help my man grow his business as well, because he's a change agent, and I've seen his work. I've seen what he does for other people. So, and I want to support, and I want other people to support as well. So just tell people.
The first thing I thought about is I named my son after Dom Kennedy.
Wow.
His name's Dominic. I always like to mention that. Like,
that's dope.
So but my final words first. CTC Training, CTC Training 4 on Instagram. Check us out. We have all types of fitness content, motivation, daily. It's a daily grind. Just show up, we'll take care of the rest. That's kind of how we operate here. But my lasting words would just be, again, to just, believe in yourself. Create the life that you want. And don't look, outside, don't look left, right. Just continue to look within. Because that's where you'll find all the answers, honestly. You know what I mean? And just do. So if I could steal words from my man Joe K, the founder of Selection Radio, he would always say, do what you love always. As long as you're doing what you love, you're not going to be tripping about much. You know what I mean? That's just at its simplest form. Try to do what you love, just enjoy this shit.
Man, wise words from a wise man. And,
appreciate you.
I definitely appreciate you coming on this podcast, brother.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Peace.